TikTok. And I got to get my little board so I can stand on my little board and wiggle around. So we got a dusting of snow last night, and then or a little bit of snow last night, and then I checked in with the plow if they were coming tonight or today or whatever. But I guess we're getting a really big storm. Yeah. Apparently there is 20 to 30 centimeters on its way now. And there's going to be some, flash freezing and stuff like that. So yeah, not great weather for sure. Which always makes me think about my nonprofit even more, because for those of you that don't know, my nonprofit, TT, is Hugs for Homeless, and it's operating out of Alberta, Canada. We are servicing Edmonton and surrounding areas currently, and with plans to, as we can, grow and expand across Canada and, globally at some point. It'd be nice to get to that point. We did get a collaboration with a company that is global. So now we have a wholesale bulk supplier for all of our needs, which is huge. That means that every dollar that you donate is going to go even further. Oh, I love it. I love it. I don't know why they filtered that. I'm not sure what it said that was not appropriate. But anyway, that's our censorship, right? Like there's some words are just not allowed. I'm not sure which one it was there. Actually, I do. The one starting with a P. Very hot tea, but I did want to sip. So we partnered with Bargains Group, which the Bargains Group is a wholesale bulk supplier that's worldwide or global, international. So we partnered with them, which is, like I said, it's going to help us make sure that every dollar that gets donated to Hugs for Homeless is going to stretch even further, because we're going to be able to purchase more with each dollar. The other collaboration or partnership is with Kits for a Cause. Now, Kits for a Cause is a charity organization that deals with team building and like group donation efforts. So what they do is, let's say you're a corporation in Edmonton and you want to do a volunteer team building activity. You would link with Kits for a Cause, and you would look at, okay, I'm in Edmonton. You could call, they would say, okay, we have these organizations in Edmonton, and they would recommend us as one of those locations. And what the organization would do is then work with Kits for a Cause with whatever budget they're going to do, what our needs are, because we have a wish list of things that we do. And so they have, they determine their budget and how many that's going to equate to of, say, backpacks or hygiene kits or whatever, because maybe they're going to put together part of the backpack, but not the entire backpack. But anyway, the Kits for a Cause ships all of that stuff to the company that is doing it. The company works together to put together whatever it is. So let's say they're putting together a backpack. They work together to put together the backpack, and then they distribute them to us, and then we get them out into community. So this is huge because this puts us on the map. This allows for corporations to be able to donate to us. And because of the way that it works, it means that they would be actually working with Kits for a Cause. And so they would be giving them the charitable receipt, which was one of the things that, because we're working as a nonprofit, we can't give charitable receipts like a charitable organizations. we can show that you've given us money and that we're a nonprofit, right? So you can track it that way. You get a receipt that you gave us money. It's just you don't get the same charitable receipt because we don't have a charity number. That's something that we will eventually work towards. We just at the beginning weren't certain and thought that a nonprofit was the way that we needed to go. And this will allow us to take the time to make sure that all of our governance documents and all of the policies and procedures and all of our processes are in place before we step to that level anyway. So it is very, very big. The cool thing is that the lady, Jody, she is, I think it's Steinhauser. And that's terrible that I don't have it right off the top of my head. This woman who owns all these different, companies. And, let's see if I can pick up one of, well, anything with her name on it. Where does it have her name written down so I can read? Okay, Steinhauer. Yeah, Steinhauer. I was close. So Jody Steinhauer, she's the individual who owns all three of these companies, and not necessarily alone, but she started the Bargains Group, and she also has a charity as well called Engage and Change. And interestingly enough, her charity Engage and Change is very similar to Hugs for Homeless. The difference is that her charity is a one-day event. They pick the third, I think it's the third Monday or the third Thursday of the month. I'm going to check now because, accuracy. January 17th is the day when they're doing it this year. And it's like this big global like group initiative. So they do one day where they get as many donations as they can together to put all of these backpacks together with sleeping bags and everything else, and then distribute them to all these different shelters in the Toronto area. So her and I connected right away because it's the exact same thing. It's just that for Hugs, we want to be collecting donation items year round and donating these and getting backpacks, whether it's a winter backpack or it's a summer backpack, but getting these distributed out into the communities. And we would like to, one, we're in Alberta and she's in Ontario. But also, our goal at some point is to have this as something that's happening, hopefully around the world. It'd be nice when we get to the point where there isn't homelessness and, then, things like this won't be necessary, but for the time that it is, right? It's necessary. So our website is up, hugsforhomeless.com. We are looking for volunteers and collaborations of various types. So volunteering doesn't mean that you're just going to be putting backpacks together. There are different types of volunteering that's available. I love you too, Beansy, and I'm proud of you for all the stuff you're doing too. So we have... Thinking. Okay, so there's different types of volunteer opportunities that are available. Some of the opportunities available would be packing bags or distributing the bags into community or, other things like that. But we have a need for volunteers that are also really good at researching grants and, can apply for grants. That's a beautiful, beautiful way to support us. Or someone that's really good with social media and, doesn't mind helping or supporting the channel, right? My company partner just sent me a message letting me know that not only are we getting this, all this snow tomorrow with anywhere between 20 to 30 centimeters, but we're also going to have 50 to 90 kilometer an hour winds tomorrow. So it's going to be very windy, very blizzardy conditions. And again, that's going to make me think once more about these individuals who unfortunately are unhoused right now. For whatever reason, it doesn't matter. We need to remove the judgment from the equation, because many of us, it was one illness, one injury, one loss of a job, one massive debt or something like that would be something that's going to push us into homelessness ourselves, right? Right? Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that I saw that as an opportunity for you beings as well. Absolutely. Hi, Cuddles. So crazy, right? Like I always think how blessed I am, and I'm like incredibly blessed. Like incredibly blessed, guys. And that doesn't mean that I've worked and I've given and like I've shown up and I keep putting, like I keep working to be authentically me, and that's not work, but to remember, right? I keep producing and creating and showing up in my company and doing all of that. Like I'm doing that, but I still recognize how exceptionally blessed I am. Because if I looked at what my company made versus where I'm living in my 40-acre wildlife sanctuary with all kinds, like it's everything that I wanted to, like that I manifested. That's just everything that I asked for. I wanted a house that was bright. I have huge windows and lots of light. Right? I wanted privacy. I wanted quiet. I wanted connection to nature. I wanted water. I have a small pond. It's small, but it's a pond. It's water. And I'm 3 kilometers away from a big lake, which is water for me. So, and I'm, it's the perfect thing for me. It's the perfect thing for me. And that's what alignment gets you. Right? And that's what we're working towards. We're working towards remembering who and what we are and how we're meant to live and what we came here in this incarnation in order to do. That's what we are here to do. Right? And you're going to find that it's in the spaces where you feel the calmest, the most grounded, the most peaceful, the most still, or the most joyful, the most expansive. In those spaces are where you're going to find you're aligned to what you're meant to be aligned to. It's where you find it, is just doing those things. And being in integrity. And many of us lack the integrity. We'll be like, yeah, I know that's bad for me, but I'm going to keep doing it anyway. Right? Because we've conditioned ourselves on the concept of, I'm here to have a human experience. And that human experience means I'm going to do drugs. I'm going to rock out. I'm going to eat like crap. I mean, what the heck? I'm just driving this into the grave. So what does it matter what I do with it? Right? Like we just have these distorted ideas of, yeah, I'm going to eat junk and I'm going to do this and I can have sex with whoever I want. There's no consequences to life. And I mean, we're just here to live, to have these human experience. But what we don't realize is we've not been living the human experience. We're living a distorted, disconnected, inverted human experience. Right? I love you guys. Right? We're living the distorted human experience and claiming that we have every right to live that, instead of stopping and actually looking at what is the truth. Right? How many of you watched the movie Into the Wild? I did, and I love that movie. Oh my God, if you haven't watched it, Beansy, watch it. So I want to get his name right. So just give me a second, because you know me, I've probably got an internet page up close by or something that I can pull it from. So the dude that played I think is Emil Hirsch is his name. It is Emil Hirsch. So the guy that he was playing, his name was Chris McCandless. And so this is based on a true story. Okay. So Chris lived in a like relatively well-to-do family and was anticipated that he would follow in that footstep, right? Go to university, get a good job, make lots of money, get all the thingies. But he was opposed to money. He was opposed to that elitist and even to having possessions. So he abandons his privileged life and he does this trip across North America, ultimately seeking this isolated life in Alaska. Like, he wanted to just live. That's all he wanted to do. He didn't want to go to work a job. He didn't want to, work to attain money so that he could exchange it for things. And, he didn't want to trade his life for stuff, because that's what we do. We go to work for money to trade for stuff that we then have just essentially traded our time for. So when you're looking at the stuff around you, you've just traded your time for that, right? So you've said, I decided I wanted to trade my time for a computer screen, or I wanted to trade my time for a sit-stand desk, or I wanted to trade my time for some of us, alcohol. I want to trade my time for processed foods. I want to trade my time for Mickey D's. Right? Like, no, I don't. None of that. So we have to think about that. Oh yeah, we're spending all of our time just making money to pay so we can not have any time, and we're just shut down because we're not in alignment. So our soul isn't being fed. So we come home and we're tired, and or we're drained, or we've been dealing with so many things that instead of coming home or leaving, whatever your creative passion is, whatever you're producing into the world, instead of leaving that and coming home feeling energized, you gave back to the world, you helped somebody today, you created something that came from your heart, that was fueled by your own soul fire. Instead, you're going to work for the man to get your 2 weeks holidays and oh yeah, that's what you get. I was like, what else do you get by working for the man? Oh man, maybe you'll get some benefits other than that. But that's what we do. We trade it. We trade every week. Like, we get so excited because it's a 3-day weekend, or, oh my God, this one's a 4-day weekend. Like, oh my God, live, girl, live. You got 4 days off. We just need to learn, or remember is what it is. It's remembering how we're meant to live and return to living that way, which will then feel so much more aligned. We'll have tons of energy. We do. I do. When you're aligned, things flow. Things are much more effortless. So one of the things that I'm going to talk about is, of course, true sidereal and what I dub Krystic astrology. And I'm going to talk about the celestial alignment for today and some information around that. And then we're going to talk about a bunch of things today. I have a lot of things that I've scheduled to talk about, and we just did some talking too. So we got even more talking to talk about. All right. So let's look at the celestial alignment, see what's going on with that, and then we'll move on to some other stuff. But very exciting news as well. My 18th and 19th books are being published on December 21st of this year. They are both children's books this time that are being published. The first one is Tiana and the Phoenix Who Refuses to Burn. And it's about really just honoring how you are and not being afraid to redefine things, but at the same, while honoring your authenticity. It's a cute little book. Ooh, that's cute, Carol. Thank you. The second book is Luminous Soul series book, and that is Infinite Wonder. The universe has no end. I had to think for a second because I'm already prepping for the next book in line. I always leave the last book with the next book in, the preview. So I'm like prepping that book. So anyway, I had to think what's the whole title again? So yeah, it's the Infinite Wonders. The universe has no end. All right. So very, very, very cool. Definitely go and watch that movie though, if you haven't seen it. Into the Wild. Where did I see? I think it's on Prime right now for free. I think so. Yeah, possibly. But check it out. It's a good one. Yeah, it's he's good. He's good. So definitely look at that. All right, let's check out our planetary alignments today. Yeah, I'm not much big for movies either, and you won't hear me recommending a lot of movies, not at all. I love that he has the notion of what we're supposed to do, right? Like if I'm inclined to be a healer, let's say, then in my natural alignment, I would align with naturopathy because that's what we're supposed to do, right? We're supposed to use the herbs and the elements and all of that to do healing, right? We're not supposed to go to a doctor who got a medical license to prescribe pharmaceuticals, right? I probably said a whole bunch of words that I'll just get but I'm talking about factual stuff. It's true. So you would naturally just provide those services to people in your community. That's how we would live, right? And because I would provide, say, those healing things in the communities, then the person who loves to grow vegetables or, have these things, they would trade those things for me. And that's how we would live, right? But we would just really just live. We would get up and breathe and do, we would walk and we would interact with Mother Nature and we would do all of these other things. We wouldn't actually leave our homes, go to another place, work for 8 hours, doing something else for somebody else that's probably unnecessary, because a lot of it is. Right. A lot of it is completely unnecessary. And then come back home. Right. Yeah. It's a good movie. It's a really good movie. And I don't really recall who all's in it. So I do apologize if it isn't clean of like stars that are known to be not good. I haven't watched it for quite some time, so you'll have to validate that. But yeah, it's a great movie. It really is. Okay. The other thing that is really cool about today is it's also my son's birthday, my baby's birthday today. So I'm just doing a public call out and happy birthday to him, and I'm really just so proud of him. He started his own company this year, which is a big step. And I know how scary that risk can feel. And so I'm so happy for him. And I miss him. He's one of my absolute bestest friends, or we call each other our best bitches. It's my boy. I'm his best bitch and he's mine. and he's mine. So anyway, happy birthday to him. I wish I was there and could celebrate, but I'm a stinker. I moved across the country so that I could run a nonprofit. So I apologize for not being there with you for your birthday, but I do love you. And we'll get together soon, of course, hopefully April. I know that doesn't seem very soon, but the way the times go by now, April's soon. It's coming fast. All right, today we have the sun in Ophiuchus, the moon in Libra as of yesterday evening. We have Mercury in Scorpio that happened on the 13th. we have Venus in Ophiuchus until the 21st of December. So on winter solstice, Venus transitions into Sagittarius. We have Mars in Sagittarius. We have Jupiter in Gemini, Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, and Pluto in Capricorn. All right. Sacred harmony, holding the field of truth with grace is what today is all about. We do not have to be mean with the truth. We do not have to be harsh. We do not have to beat people up. The truth does not yell and scream. The truth does not need coercion. The truth does not need manipulation. It doesn't need to silence the lies because the truth speaks louder anyway. Anyway, this is the field of balance, beloveds. Today we enter the sacred energies of that moon in Libra, and everything is according to true sidereal. So this is the living sky. We're going with the living sky. This is not about some set time 2,000 years ago. We are going with what the sky is actually saying right now. I look up these placements on the Sky Live, and that's how I create my live shows, from the looking at the Sky Live. I love you, Beansy. All right. So this is a time when celestial currents call for peace, justice, and equilibrium. But let us be clear, Krystic balance is not passivity. It is not spiritual bypassing or suppression of the truth just to maintain some surface level calm. Okay. It is the anchoring of divine truth with grace. So under the sun in Ophiuchus, we are not here to avoid discomfort. Remember, Ophiuchus is resurrection energy. This is not death. This is what comes after. This is the phoenix rising energy. So we are here to transmute it into illumination. Ophiuchus is the sign of the alchemist, the initiator, the leader, the healer. Sorry, the healer. They're a leader too. I have an Ophiuchus sun. Sorry, some of the other words coming up. And the sun's presence here reminds us that we are midwives of transformation. That's what our task is. We are transforming the energies of the traumas that we experienced that we did not transmute at that time. That's another part of what we're doing. We're transmuting collective energy, right? We're transmuting distortions in the field. We're transmuting energy for Mother Gaia and all of the beings that are here. So when the moon travels through Libra, we are guided to examine the relational field, our partners, our mirrors, our shared realities, and ask, where am I holding peace as posture rather than presence? Right? So where are you faking it? You're just showing up, you're just pretending that there's peace. You're playing that peace is here, but it ain't inside your mind. You're just keeping the peace to, because maybe you're not ready to be truthful, rather than actually being peaceful, right? So this is a time for you to be just really honest with yourself. Where are you keeping the peace with others in your relationships, right? And then the other thing that you want to look at is, where are you hiding your truth to keep others comfortable? Because that's probably where you're keeping the peace. But there's also the possibility that you're just, it's like when somebody identifies as a pagan and their family's very Christian, but they don't tell their family that they just do things in secret. That's the stuff that needs to come out. That's the stuff that you need to come clean with. So this is the grace of the living flame. It's not passive, it's not reactive, but it is unwavering. So Libra is also We are right now in the third quarter. We went into the third quarter, trying to think what the day was that we did that, because we are about to have our new moon on the 19th. So we're 3 days away from the new moon. We're just finishing up that third quarter, the week of the third quarter, which is inviting us to reflect, to integrate anything that we haven't finished, like we haven't integrated up to this point from the full moon. So the truth came up in the full moon. We're integrating it through that week. Then we get to the new moon and it's off and running. And it's a Sagittarius new moon. So we want to be really truthful. We want that arrow to be firing in the direction of the truth. So we also want to be doing a conscious release. Like, this is aware of that. I need to release this and I need to release that, and actually, being present through that release. This is a time for us to recalibrate, and not from exhaustion. We want to be doing that from sovereignty. So ask yourself what needs to be forgiven, completed, or clarified, because we've only got a few more days before that new moon. So we want to be getting that cleared up. And we also want to be looking at what cords or illusions are ready to be released, so that you can walk forward with clarity, but walk forward clear of entanglement or ties to other stuff. This would be, a time for you to look around your house. Like when we're looking at relationship energy and you're looking at things that tie you, is looking at the belongings that you have and being honest about where it came from and the energies that are associated with that. So it could be, clearing yourself of old items that you received from somebody who's not in alignment with you anymore. So the energy is out of alignment. It could be clearing relationships that aren't in alignment, or at least just being very honest within your relationships. So do some cord cuttings, do some clearings, cleanse your items, or get rid of them. The crock pot keeps coming up. It's an issue because you keep it comes up. You consciously say that it's not an issue, that you love the crock pot and that you like that it works well and it's a good crock pot. And when you're using it, you're not thinking about it, but you think about it because it comes up whenever we're thinking about releasing things that are out of alignment that someone else gave you. It's the first thing that comes to your mind is that crock pot. So that means it needs to go. There's something subconscious that's there, and yeah. So think this is an opportunity for you to get a new or a repurposed one. You could find one, because sometimes the quality of stuff that was made years ago is better than the new stuff that you get. So it might be something that you want to, get a nice used one that someone, or get a new, I get to get a new crock pot. Right? Get really happy about it. Cut that tie, get the new crock pot. I love it. I was going to say, you can give a little wave, right? Get all excited about it. My new crock pot. All right. So then we've also got Mercury in Scorpio. So remember, this is your thoughts and communication. Today, I'm going to talk about the signs what Mercury represents and how the signs, what the signs mean when Mercury is within that sign. I've already done the sun, the moon, the rising. So we're on to Mercury today. So yeah, if you want to know about Mercury. And again, I will remind you that this is based in true sidereal. And it's also I call it Krystic astrology because it's beyond the dogma and the distortions and stuff. So we're not looking at any of those little tweaks that they did to put all these negative things, or the way that they've tweaked astrology to be kind of more like a personality test. This is actually a way that you can use to help guide your life. By looking at the energies that we're under, because we're meant to live in harmony with Mother Gaia and all the celestial bodies and all the life, all the beings. Like, we're all supposed to be in harmony. So this is just one way to help with that. Okay. So with Mercury and Scorpio, the words we speak today carry weight. There is power in precision. And we will speak less, but mean more. Like we're going to get a little more clear with our words. I don't know if made a mistake, but hi if you did. So we want to let what emerges from our voice be medicine, not manipulation, right? And hopefully what happens when we're under these energies is that some of the truths that need to come up do, because people are influenced by those particular energies. So that Mercury being in Scorpio is affecting everybody and heightening the wanting to speak the truth, which could be very handy for us. We also have Venus in Ophiuchus, which we are reminded that love is not a sedative. It is sacred solvent. It dissolves the lies that we've told ourselves about what we are allowed to receive. Ophiuchus is the energy, like I said, it's the phoenix rising energy. It's what is born after everything that has died, that you've released, that you've determined was out of alignment. And you're born from that into the next level. And we have many of these rebirths. We typically, there's this cyclical thing, but we're meant to utilize the energy, work with the energy, evolve with the energy, and keep spiraling up. But what society teaches us is not to use this energy the way that it's supposed to be. And they just teach us to spiral in circles and stay in the pattern, right? We want to recognize the pattern, break free of the pattern, and start to evolve like this. So allow that rebirth to happen. Release what's not aligned with you right now, and then continue to the next level, right? Mars in Sagittarius. So remember, Mars is our forward motion, Venus being more divine feminine, and Mars being more divine masculine energy. Mars is our direction, right? So Mars in Sagittarius means that you're aiming your actions towards higher purpose. You when you think about Sagittarius energy, it's like like Lord of the Rings or like the Hobbits, right? We're going on an adventure. That's Sagittarius energy. We're questing. we're not acting, we're questing, right? And the quest that we're going on, it's demanding truth, integrity, and vision, right? Sagittarius isn't, they're about the truth. They're about what has been revealed from that rebirth after the layer has been shed, the serpent that is rising from that. That's what Sagittarius is directing from, is that space, not the space before, right? Not before that, when we were still maybe convincing ourselves that the lies were okay. So today we have the daily triad, right? Every day we look at our daily triad, and you can do this one of two ways. One of the ways to look at the daily triad is to look at what sign the sun is in, what sign the moon is in, and then reflect on that versus your rising sign. So sun in Ophiuchus, moon in Libra, for me rising in Aries. Those three, I would look at how this affects me. I could be like making notes on like, how's my energy for a day like today. So then going forward, I would know when the sun is in Libra, when the sun is in Ophiuchus and the moon is in Libra. For me, it's like this type of energy. And that can help move you forward as well. The other way to do it is to look at the rising sign currently. So the rising sign is the sign that's currently on the horizon where the sun rises, right? So if you're like, my sun is rising over here, right? So it's whatever sign is in that space, okay? Serge doesn't understand clearly. He's stepped into the wrong live, and that's okay. Rather than saying, what the fuck, you could just ask questions and try to learn a little, or just swipe on by. Either one's appropriate. So if you're looking at the rising sign, that would be doing a check-in or assessing that moment of time. And so you're checking in on it at that time. And so some of our Krystic reflections that we have for today is that one, where am I silencing myself to keep the peace, right? What does divine harmony feel like in my body? You know what harmony feels like. If you're taking a lot of stimulants and other things, if you're eating a lot of preservatives, if you're under a lot of radio frequencies, EMF, like if you live in the heart of a city in an apartment building and you're inundated with all kinds of negative energies, between, you know, the different Wi-Fi's, the different radio signals, the microwave signals, the EMF, like all of that stuff, plus you're somebody that's eating really processed foods, a lot of dyes, a lot of artificial ingredients. If you're cooking with your microwave or cooking with like those, you know, pans that have the coatings and stuff like that, that they've said's bad for you. If you're still putting, you know, covering yourself with lotions and makeups and, you know, all kinds of products and stuff. And if you're drinking you're drinking energy drinks and, you know, like you're not allowing your natural resonant energy, you're not in harmony. You can't be in harmony because you can't feel what harmony is. You know, and I used to be the person that I would drink coffee like it was on an IV drip. I was all day long coffee, and then go to sleep and think that I was getting some sleep. I don't even think that for the 20 years I nursed that I actually slept well one night because of how much caffeine I had in my system. I don't think I was, oh my gosh, it's crazy how out of alignment that we really are with our bodies and with ourselves. So many of us do that, where we stimulate ourselves with one substance, and then we numb ourselves out with other substances, whether it's food, TV, marijuana, these types of things, to combat the caffeine or the other stimulants that we have in our life, our dopamine hits and all of that. So we're just naturally, like right now, we're balancing with chemicals rather than removing the chemicals and just being in our natural frequency and our natural state. So yeah, many of us don't even really know like how that feels within our body or what that balance is. So we want to ask, where does the truth want to speak through me today? There's some truth that maybe is asking to be spoken. Maybe it's to you, to yourself in the mirror and reflection. Maybe it's your partner. Maybe it's a friend. Maybe it's a colleague, right? Maybe it's family, but there may be some truth that needs to be spoken. What are we asking to release at this point, right? What is the rest of this third quarter moon asking us to let go of at this time? Yes, we're all generating a frequency for sure. Hi, Sha'Ryah. And where are you being called to choose clarity over comfort? Thank you, Fiona. There might be something in your life that you know is something that's really comfortable, but you know it's not to your benefit, right? You know that you are doing something that you shouldn't be really engaging in. And yeah, so you need to look at what those things are and maybe remove them. Right? I was looking at my caffeine intake. I drink organic tea. I drink white tea, which is very, you know, they're very different, right? So you have to look at what are the worst sources of caffeine when you're looking at that. And obviously any synthetic stimulant is worse than a natural stimulant. But when you look at where you're getting it from, something that's very heavy pesticide, like that has very heavy pesticide use, is going to be worse for you than something that doesn't. And then you have to look at what is in that particular substance and the other things that it's carrying with it, because some things out there are packaged with different things that actually make it less disruptive to your hormones or to your nervous system. And so that's why they're better for you, or they're lower on the profile. Okay, so we're going to do a little Field of Harmony recalibration. Okay, so I want you guys to close your eyes. You know how we do this, how we get into stillness. We're going to close our eyes so we can take out all of this stimuli. And then we're going to breathe in nice and slow through our nose, all the way down into our tummy, up into our chest, pausing just briefly, and then letting it out through our mouths like we're blowing out candles, but really slow. You're probably not going to blow out candles when you're blowing out this way. So just really slow. Okay. That's what we're going to do. We're just going to breathe like that, a minimum of 3. Because it takes that much for us to really get out of our head and into our body. And that's what we want to do. If your brain's really, really active, you may need to take a couple more. And any time that you're in the middle of doing something like this, if your brain starts to get really active and it's like, whoa, squirrel, or let's go grocery shopping, or you remember that conversation that we had the other day? I think we should have said this. If your brain starts doing that in the middle of it, don't get upset or be judgmental. Like, you're not calling yourself names or anything. You just stop, take a breath in, and focus on that breath again. We can deal with that later. Like, it's just a pause. We're going to deal with that later. And you just push it to the side. Okay. And then just breathe back in. All right. So let's do that. Let's get ourselves nice and comfortable. I'm going to do it too. And we're going to place our hands over our solar plexus. So solar plexus is above the belly button, the umbilical cord, about a finger to 2 above that, right? So above the umbilical. And you can place both hands here, one here and one there. But, and I like this too, because remember, right now, the masculine energy is in the solar plexus and the feminine energy is in the heart. So we're also connecting the centers that are functioning with those streams of energy. Oh my gosh. All right, close your eyes. Nice breath in and out. And in and out. And in and out. Now repeat after me. I dissolve false peace, false polarity, and false reflection. I call forth the full presence of divine harmony, where all parts of me are welcomed, where truth is honored, and where balance flows from wholeness. With your hand over your solar plexus, visualize a balanced scale of golden light. Now let that scale rise all the way up to your throat. Then up to your third eye. And then out into the field. Now let the field harmonize through you. And whenever you're ready, you can come back. Hello, hello. Say hi. How did that feel? Hi. How did that feel? It did. It did. Feel very balanced. So I have the Krystic suggestion for you today, which is in moments of social tension, disagreement, or avoidance, practice inner neutrality before outward action. Okay? It's not detachment, it's clear resonance. You're just asking yourself, am I acting from alignment or from appeasement? Let that be your tuning fork today, right? So anything that comes up that you may feel that you want to be reactionary, right? Remember, we drop into our breath to bring, that's the break in our nervous system, right? And then ask yourself, just where is that coming from, right? Is that coming from that, that reactionary spot? And if it is, then this is your opportunity to bring that to light and work through it, right? So if you want to go deeper into doing things like that, I have a bunch of membership groups that you can check out between like the Krystic Mastery Circle. I have a couple of courses that I'm putting on this coming month. And the one is next Monday, and it is how guardians track distortion lines in real time. So this is about looking at identifying, interpreting, and dissolving distortion lines without force or fear. And these are just disruptions in organic flow. That's what a distortion is, right? It's just a disruption in the organic flow of your energy. So it could be a field, it could be a person, an environment, or a timeline that carries interference that is bending the truth, or it's suppressing clarity, or it's redirecting energy away from its natural state. And we want to be in that natural sovereign state. So that one's going to be taught next Monday from 3:30 until 5:30 about. It may not take the full 2 hours, but I figured I might book the two, say it's going to be 2 hours just in case. I'd rather it take less, like get out early than keep you longer. Any good teacher would do it that way. And then the following Monday after that is the class for the Krystic Mastery Circle. These are free in those particular groups. So the Guardian Pathway group, they get the distortion tracking class for free as a part of their membership. If you're not in that membership, you would pay $22.22 for each of these classes, and that's Canadian, $22. The other class is the Divine Law of Embodied Authority, and this is how mastery speaks through you, and this is also $22.22. The Krystic Mastery Circle gets this class and the class that the Guardians are getting. So their membership is $44.44, but each live session, if you want to do it as a drop-in, is $22. Except for January. But in January, I'm doing a Krystic Wealth Activation 3-day session. So because that one's a very big session, that one's going to be $44.44. Because yeah, that's just has 3 days. It's definitely worth at least 22 twice. So anyway, that one will be in January, and I'll be giving more information about that. The other two are up on the website under the events tab, or I like to look under events in the menu item, and it'll talk about those two things and what you can expect or anticipate in the classes. So yeah, 2 books publishing on the 21st, 2 classes, one the 22nd, one the 29th. That's coming up. And Bridge to Light Phase 2 begins January 9th. We're going to talk about that for a little bit here. Yeah, I just got to get I moved off of my one tab to read some information. I had to get back to you guys. So I can see Phoenix rising. Nice. It's a good time for Phoenix rising on the Ophiuchus Sun. And it's the last day. Tomorrow is as the official last day. It checks out at 23:56 Mountain Time. I'm doing well. How are you? I'm doing very well. All righty. Oh, and go to the Temple of Light as well. Check out on my website. Go to the Temple of Light and sign up for the free group. I drop a lot of powerful stuff in that. But then that way there, if anything ever happens to any of my accounts and you're wondering where I am, I'll be on my website. I'll just be posting stuff on my own domain. So you can check it out there. All righty. I'm excited about what we're going to talk about now. Because, well, I just like to teach you guys all about that. All right, so now that we understand the energies, ooh, I like that. I could go out on tour with Elton John. I don't know if I want to. I don't think I'd want to do that. I think I would be just like, no, thank you. No, thank you. But anyway, I would fit in with those classes. I would. All right, so now that we understand the energies that are influencing the day, I want to take us deeper into what this means for your path. Yes, but I'm like, in what capacity? So what this means for your path, for your embodiment, and for the Krystic way that I teach, because these skies do not just show energy, they show your evolution. Sophia is not Gaia. Sophia is not Gaia. Gaia has Terra, oh my God, my brain's, I can't believe they're not coming up. Just the one. But yeah, I can't think, they're not coming to me. Sorry. They're just not coming to me today. But that's okay. And I don't want to go looking for it because that could be quite the, I'm like thinking in my head where. Thinking, okay, never mind. Put it down, Tanya. Put it down. All right. So with the sun in Ophiuchus and the moon in Libra, today is a day of alignment. Not only energetic alignment, but relational and identity alignment. Because Libra's bringing in that balance while Ophiuchus brings in the truth. Scorpio and Mars is bringing depth of thought and communication. And Sagittarius and Mars is bringing that direction, that like firing an arrow. So this creates the perfect environment for embodiment work, because embodiment is not just a feeling. It is a choice, a shift, a decision, right? We decide that we want to live from a higher layer of ourselves. Oh, cool. I'd love to hear what you experienced, to know about that experience, right? It's a decision to live from that higher layer of yourself. So you're saying that, I am going to live as my oversoul, essentially, my higher self. And this is the foundation of the Krystic way. Like Yeshua came down to teach us to live the Krystic way, right? He taught the way. This is the way. And he didn't come down here to teach you religion, or he didn't come down here to teach you those things, like the way that it's been doctored and twisted and changed. It was the Krystic path, which is a path of coherence. It is living from the truth of your oversoul, not the reactions of your ego. It's the path where your energy becomes clean, your motives become clear, your intuition becomes accurate, your choices become aligned, and your field becomes stable. Yeah. Well, time is an illusion. Everything is happening all at once. And people are like, that's a concept that's really hard to wrap the mind around. So yeah, that's interesting having that experience. Mm-hmm. Hopefully you're not truly looping and your days are just exactly the same. So you just don't even realize it is the exact same day and you did live it twice. Could you imagine? So this is not about rejecting. Right. That's very, very cool. Right. I know, I was coming out at the same time. That's hilarious. So yeah, this isn't about rejecting your humanity. It's about integrating your divinity. And that's what we're supposed to be doing, right? We're supposed to be saying to ourselves, this is who and what I am, and this is how I'm meant to live, and this is why I incarnated at this time. And so I'm going to do it. And I'm going to live it. And, we are multidimensional. It's very easy. And, it's easier than we realized for us to shift, right? For us to experience those other things. Some of us use some help from some sacred plants, which is very, very cool. It's very, very cool. So that's what today's energies are supporting. They're supporting us, saying, this is who I'm going to live like I'm supposed to live. It's time for me to say, okay, is this aligned with me? And if not, get rid of it. So embodiment is not a concept. It's an actual lived frequency. It is one of the core teachings that I bring through the Bridge to Light, which phase 2 is all about embodiment. But it's a core teaching that I have on my platform is all about embodiment. And this is because with embodiment, you don't just know the truth, you live it, right? And many of us, we get to the part where we're like, I'm learning, I'm listening, I got all this information, so intelligent, but we're not doing anything, right? It's no different than the individual that goes when we go to the oh god, my brain just I read your comment and I lost my train of thought. That's hilarious. All right, time for a little sip of tea then. Maybe you can learn how. Maybe you can learn how. No. Don't apologize about that. It could have been anything. A bird could have flown and landed on my feet, and I could have easily lost my train of thought just looking over at it. Something else could have happened. It's not on you. So you don't just know the truth, you live it. You don't just have insights, you actually act on them, right? You don't just feel the clarity, you choose from that clarity. Embodiment is the process of becoming, is the process of becoming the person your oversoul already knows you are. Mm-hmm. It is the art of making the invisible self visible. That's what embodiment is. Okay, it's the invisible self becoming visible. Me and my little slide rocket back and forth. I'll get my little clips from the generator from SteamYard. It generates like little clips of the live, and I'll see it where I'm like, all of a sudden I'm like, shh, over here, and I'm like, oh yeah, because of my board, because I'll slide over, flip from one side to the other, and then I'll laugh when I see it in the video, and I'll like, oh, there I went again, going from my one side to the other. Keep paper near you or voice record, right? Get one of those voice recorders. I'm pretty sure you can get one for pretty cheap, and then just record whatever the visions are when you're having, like as soon as you have them, right? Look at recording them down as soon as you can. But right, like when you think about when you go to therapy, there's a lot of therapies that are just talk therapy, and that's all you're doing is you're just talking and talking and talking and talking and talking, and they might give you some knowledge, but if you don't apply the knowledge, you're not getting anywhere with it. And if they're not giving you anything practical, if they're not giving you any tools to use, and you're not actually using any tools, then it's just very one-dimensional, and you're not going to be healing, right? You're not going to be navigating past that. Well, you're going to have to learn to discern that. So today's sky with the moon in Libra, you're being invited into that harmony between your inner self and your outer world, right? That's the Libra energy, is the relationship, that mirror with people around us. So the question becomes, are my choices aligned with the identity that I am stepping into, right? We don't want to be aligning with the past. We want to be aligning with who we know we're meant to be, and taking steps in that direction. You want to be looking at, are my relationships aligned with the truth? And that doesn't mean that the relationship necessarily has to be ended. It could be that the relationship needs to change where its position is, right? Because maybe you have a friend that's really, 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 really close, but you guys aren't in alignment now. And it doesn't mean that you're not friends with them. It's just maybe they're not that very close friend. Maybe they're a little bit further out. Maybe it is a relationship that needs to end. And, maybe it's the relationship with your environment that needs to change, or it's a relationship that you have with your workplace, things like that. So you have to also look at, are my boundaries aligned with my worth? It's a big thing. Your boundaries are telling everybody else how to treat you. Your boundaries are that beautiful fence that should be telling you who should be allowed in and who should be allowed out. The person that jumps over the fence isn't the person that should be allowed to stay, right? That person that violates your boundaries, when they do that, they're showing you that they need to be placed outside the fence, right? It's like if somebody broke into your house, you wouldn't invite them to live there. Like, that would just be foolish. You don't know them. They're breaking in to rob you, and you're going to let them have a room? No, you're going to call the cops and kick them out, send them down the road, right? So, and I know we can get into all kinds of moral discussions and, concepts around that. And we could probably get to a point where we're like, well, why not? Why wouldn't we let him stay? What was he stealing? Was he stealing food or electron? Like, what was he stealing it for? Was he stealing it for food? Like, was he just hungry? Is this like the, Les Mis situation here? Like, should we, is he just not a bad person? He's just starving? Maybe he just needs help. No, I'll do that through my nonprofit, Hugs for Homeless. I'm not going to bring them into my home, though, because that's boundaries. So then when you also have, is my voice aligned with what I know inside? And then we have the Mercury in Scorpio, which is your thoughts, right? This is your thoughts and your communication. So this is adding that layer of, what am I ready to be honest about? Where am I ready to stop performing? And where am I ready to speak from the depth of my soul? Where am I ready for this? That's why today's a great day for embodiment work, because of these elements that are working together for it. So the bridge to light, I talked about that briefly a moment ago, about how I teach embodiment. And one of the things I teach embodiment in is in the bridge to light. Hi, group 7. I was group 7. Then I saw group 8 thing and I was like, what's this group 8? And then I decided I don't do labels. And so anyway, hello. So the bridge to light exists because awakening is not enough. You can read and you can ingest and you can do all kinds of logical things and learning, but it's not the knowing. Knowing is only a part of it. It's not enough. Feeling is even not enough, right? That's only another facet of it. I can sit and think and feel and take zero action, and my life is not going to change. Now, there's always the one-off, right? You know, the guy that he didn't do anything, he didn't go anywhere, but somebody entered a competition for him to win a lottery, and so he won he manifested from his house. He didn't have to take any action because somebody else helped him. Sure, there's stuff like that happens for sure. But that's not the norm. The norm is that you actually move yourself towards what it is that you want by aligning with who you are and what you're meant to do and how you're meant to live and all of that truth, right? You're aligning with the truth. So people awaken all the time, but very few know how to stabilize that awakening in their daily life. It's the same thing as the person that goes on a diet, stops the diet, goes on a diet, stops the diet, goes on the diet, stops the diet. There's a pattern and a cycle, and there's this wheel that they're on, right? And that's because they're not doing an important part that they need in order to embody that change, right? And it could be that they have a mindset or a subconscious thing that they need to work on. There could be an underlying trauma that they haven't dealt with. There could be emotional weight that they haven't released. There could be just coming to terms with a truth, right? Maybe they've convinced themselves that it's okay. It's okay. So it's okay to do that because at least you're not doing that, right? It's okay to numb out with food because, I mean, at least you're not doing crack cocaine or, you know, like you're not doing these things. And I hope I don't get censored by saying these things, but nonetheless, to some degree, it's a language thing. I think of it more in the terms of, and this is some of the different ways that you can look at the terms. Your higher self is like I look at it like the umbrella, like the overarching, the all existing, all knowing part of you is the Oversoul. And you are a fractal of that in physical form. And there's other fractals of your Oversoul, right? You've had many other incarnations, and, you know, because time is an illusion, these things can be happening at the same time. So like 1700s at the same time as now. So you have a fractal of you that's living in the 1700s and a fractal now, but it all belongs to the same Oversoul. It's all you. And, the spirit is that, and that fractal that's within, and the soul would be the actual, like the part that's embodied within the body. That's how I see how it comes down in like almost like a tiered way. The spirit and soul could be interchangeable for sure. Your spirit holds your body, right? Your body, your spirit doesn't sit inside your body. Your body sits inside your spirit. And that's why you can see someone's aura around them, is because the spirit is extended outside of the body. The seat of the spirit is in the heart. It's not the brain. You don't have a little man inside you piloting you around in your brain, nor do you have a little man seated down in your ego that's driving you around. If that's where the seat of your soul is thought to be, then you're going to be probably very egoic in the way that your soul is expressing itself. And the same thing here, if you think that your soul is seated in your head, then you're going to be very logical about the way that you are approaching anything to do with your soul, right? Because that's where the logic center is. So you're assigning your soul as having logic dominion, or as having ego dominion, as opposed to this in the heart space where it's meant to sit. So the bridge to light exists because not enough people are doing the embodiment. And embodiment is what bridges the gap between that instability that they're having, right? To bring it into form and keep it there. So this is bridging that gap between awakening and transformation, between insight and integration, between desire and identity, between potential and mastery. That's the pineal gland. So that's opening up the third eye, which is a higher vision center. Right? So the bridge to light is that path that was created to take you from knowing into becoming. And today's energy supports that. So there's a lot that I teach. Like I either teach mini classes, or I teach big courses, or I teach in membership groups, or I teach on my lives. I also do like soul alignment sessions, and I do Krystic astrology readings and all things like that. Yeah, I have a very visual inner landscape. Like it's crazy. Crazy what I can see. Sometimes even not with my eyes closed. Like I don't even have to close my eyes. It's like a projector, which is really cool. So I have all these different groups, and they align with days like today as well. And so like the Temple of Light, that's a group that brings clarity. The Ascension Gateway brings attunements. The Guardian Pathway brings truth and refinement. The Krystic Mastery Circle brings embodiment and sovereign alignment. So these aren't random teachings. They map directly over this celestial windows like this one. And the Libra Moon is asking for that relational integrity. The Ophiuchus Sun energy is asking for truth, integrity, and Scorpio Mercury is asking for mental and emotional integrity. So every group receives little pieces of content or stuff that is aligned in a way that fits that particular stage of development. So, or that group, right? So I put the content in there that is going to support those things. Like if you want that clarity, then the Temple of Light's free. If you want attunements, well, that's $11.11 a month. And you get early access to the Truth Will Set You Free podcast, the Hidden Earth podcast, and a bunch of other things that get put in that group. The Guardian Pathway, you get truth and refinement, but you also get a live every month and an education that happens with that. And then in the Krystic Mastery Circle, you get 2 lives a month because you get the one from the Guardian, plus everything that the Guardian Pathway and Ascension Gateway get, because these are tiered. And you get the embodiment and sovereign alignment practices, plus that other education, which is a deeper education that we do within that group. So why aren't you in one of them? At least the free one. Nice. Have you looked at your zodiac through the true sidereal? Have you, because if you go to masteringthezodiac.com and put your birth information in, you can get your true sidereal natal chart. Even if you don't know your birth time, you can get one done. It just won't have your rising sign. Check that out, because what I talk about here, I talk about as true sidereal or Krystic astrology, because I take the distortions and the manipulations and the illusions out of it in regards to the planets and the signs. So, hello, the Greek informant. So anyway, check that out. Because I'm going to go over the planet Mercury and what each sign means within that placement, within that celestial body. So check that out. All right. So who are you becoming? That's a question for you. Who are you becoming? Are your actions matching your identity? And that's a big thing. Like a really big thing, guys. First off, what is your identity of said thing? Sorry, I was looking. I noticed that there was something. Anyway, it's nothing. Right? So let's say that I want to be a multi-million-dollar company. What do I believe that identity requires? Do I think that I have to be organized? Do I think that I have to wear a business suit? Do I think that I have to go into a company and work 9 to 5? Do I think that I have to work? Do I hustle and grind? Like, what do I see as the individual that is in that particular space? Because if that's the identity that I see, then I'm going to have to adopt that in order to be that, right? Like if you think in your mind that you wanted to say, be a famous musician, and you're thinking, I know they work hard. They work 15-hour days, and they have to allow, an invasion in their privacy. And, they get told a lot of what to do and how to do it and all of these other things. If that's what your belief is about it, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, I'm just saying if that's what your belief is about it, then you have to adopt those attributes to have what it is that you believe that you want, because that's the identity of it. And that's the identity that you may have assigned or society may have assigned. And it may be true and it may be not, but that's what you need to get clear with, is what is the identity of that? Why do I believe that's the identity of it? Why can't you make money and be wealthy? There's people that are wealthy and they don't do much at all. The guy that did the videos, the YouTube videos, he got very wealthy, and all he did was take a video where they were saying how to make something, and it was really ridiculous how they did it. Like they would be putting, like twist ties and making it into a handle for a glass, and he would just grab a cup and go. He made so much money off of his channel, millions. It wasn't hard work. He didn't have to leave his home and go to a company, work 9 to 5. He didn't have to work a hustle and grind lifestyle. He didn't have to do any of that. So his mindset and his identity, he could do it in an easier way. He knew that. He had a belief of that. So the identity that he needed to have in order to get what he wanted was a different identity. So you have to get clear with your identity and make sure that that is, in fact, the identity that you must have to have what you want. Better yet, just look at who you are. It is. But many people think manifestation just starts with thinking and feeling, and you don't got to do the doing, or that you can just do anything. And sometimes miracles happen. Miracles happen all the time. All the time. It's a miracle that you are here. How many number of grandparents along the lines had to be there, right? Right? And that's the truth, right? So today is a very powerful day. Are your actions matching that identity? Are your words aligned with your truth? That's integrity and that's alignment. If we're not speaking our truth, then we're not in alignment. And what does that mean? Well, if we're talking about manifesting at this point in time, let's say you've got your tap wide open and everything's in perfect alignment and the stream is just flowing and everything's coming to you. If you're not speaking the truth and your words aren't in integrity, that's like turning that tap down or moving the bucket over and being like, I'll just catch it over here. Why would I want to stand here in this beautiful stream? Instead, I'm gonna not speak my truth, or I'm gonna stand in my truth, or I'm gonna be my, be in integrity, and I'm just gonna shift myself out of alignment with everything that's meant for me. So are your words aligned with your truth? Are your relationships balanced and reciprocal? Now, balanced and reciprocal does not mean I put 50 in and he puts 50 in, right? Even though that is balanced, is definitely 50-50. That's balanced. But a lot of times people get caught up in this person pays more of the bills, right? Well, maybe you do more of the house cleaning, or maybe you do more of something else. The important thing is that there's an even exchange of energy, that it's reciprocal, and that nobody is completely carrying the other person. And even though there may be moments where that individual needs more, that you also are aware that at a certain time you may need more and they would be there. Not the person that you give when they need more that's not there when you need more. They just pull the Houdini thing, right? So these are balanced and reciprocal relationships. And again, just because it's not balanced and reciprocal in the space that it's in doesn't mean you have to eliminate it altogether. You just have to put it in a position where it is balanced and reciprocal. So the other thing to ask is, are you living from your oversoul, or are you living from your ego? Oh, it is. It's very much inverted clown. So your ego, remember, we've talked about this a lot. Your ego is doing what? It's driving, looking in the back window, right? Like it's looking out the back window, driving down the road going, yeah, it's nice and straight right now. So it's going to continue to be nice and straight. Because what it's looking at is all of these things that have happened now. So because that happened, that means that's potentially going to happen again. That's your ego. Every time you step into that spot, well, what if what happened before happens again? Ego. When you start doubting and questioning and you're foggy and you're not sure what to do, ego. Because your ego is operating from the space of fear and wanting to keep you safe and comfortable. Because the comfort space is obviously safe. It's got blankets and pillows and snacks. It's safe. Right? I mean, if Taurus is ruling the comfort zone, it's got soft stuff and snacks. So the other thing is your energy coherent? Right? And that comes down to all of those things, right? Are you dealing with your trauma? Are you looking at your shadow? Are you talking to your ego and allowing your oversoul to drive? Are you ingesting all kinds of toxins and dyes and all kinds of stuff? Are you interacting with all kinds of Wi-Fi and radio frequencies and these things and other things? Are you doing all of these things? Because if you are, your energy is not coherent. That's because we're not supposed to be like that. We're not supposed to be inundated with all of these things all the time. Okay. So today is, but people want transformation, but transformation begins with alignment. So what aligns with you, right? If you're sitting there saying, oh my God, I know people who smoke and want to quit every single day, right? I know this cigarette is bad for me. I'm still doing it. Maybe they feel guilt or shame, and that's so out of alignment. If you're going to do something that is not good for you, be in intention of doing that and do so with love in your heart, like joy, whatever it is, right? If you're like, I really, really like a giant chocolate cake, and allow myself to eat it very rarely. But when I'm eating my chocolate cake, I'm eating it with a big smile on my face. That's the energy that you need to be doing it with. If every single time, though, that you have a piece of chocolate cake, you're like, oh, you're so disgusting. I can't believe you're eating this. You know it's bad for you. Imagine the chaos that you're causing inside of yourself over that. Don't eat it if you're riddled with that much guilt or shame, or you're beating yourself up like that, right? You'd be so better off not to even have it. Or, like I said, get yourself to a space where you can accept what you're doing. It is. It absolutely is. I love cooking, especially for that. So today is quite powerful. Just start with making those small changes, right? And those changes that are made today are going to echo into your next chapter. And that's what Sagittarius is launching us into, right? All right, we've got another little practice. This time we're putting our hands on our heart, because the heart is the seat of the Oversoul. All right, hands on your heart, close your eyes, take a deep breath. You can take a couple more if you feel the need. Another one. Now ask yourself, what choice today aligns with my Oversoul? Okay. Not tomorrow, not this year, just today. Just feel the answer rise. You do not need to force it. Okay? Now whisper, I choose alignment. I choose truth. I choose embodiment. Your embodiment is not created by the sky. It is supported by it. You become the bridge between humanity and your higher self. You become the living expression of your Oversoul. You become the one who walks the Krystic Way with coherence and clarity. Hi, Doris. So let today refine you. Let it align you, right? We need alignment. Then we're embodying it. And let it prepare you for the next state of your becoming, which is that beautiful embodiment stage. Which is nice. All right, let's talk about Mercury and the 13th sign, the 13 signs through that gate. So Mercury is known as the messenger gate. It is responsible or governs how the mind thinks, how it speaks, how it learns, and how it interprets reality. So Mercury reveals how the soul thinks, speaks, learns, and exchanges information. It governs your thought patterns, communication style, learning pathways, perception and interpretation, your nervous system signaling, and how truth is processed and expressed. So if the moon is the feeling body and the sun is your radiant identity, Mercury is the bridge between the inner experience and the outward expression. Oh yeah, you absolutely can. So we're going to look at how Mercury travels through each of the 12 gates in the 13th sign. Okay. So how the mind communicates through each gate is what this is talking about. So Mercury in Aries, they are direct, they are fast thinking, they have a decisive mind, they speak with clarity and urgency, they process truth instinctively, and they prefer action-oriented communication. So if you're going to do it, do it. Say you're going to do it, do it. Like that would be something Aries would be standing on, like if they have Aries in Mercury. Okay. I'm like, I gotta look. I can't remember. Yeah, my Mercury is Ophiuchus. Sorry. I was like, I think my Mercury is Ophiuchus, but I'm Mercury, Venus, Sun in Ophiuchus. Okay, back to it. Do you know what your Mercury is in, Carol? So Mercury in Taurus, slow, steady, grounded thinking, processes information through practicality and embodiment, communicates calmly and deliberately, prefers simplicity and clarity. Mercury in Gemini, and I think like you'd know if you ran into these people, right? Mercury in Gemini, quick, adaptable, curious mind, processes through conversation, exploration, and ideas, speaks playfully, lightly, and with agility, needs variety and mental stimulation. And Mercury in Cancer, this is emotional, intuitive, memory-driven mind. It processes through feeling and empathy. I was going to say memory again. Memory-driven mind. It processes through feeling and empathy, communicates with softness and depth, remembers everything. Mercury in Leo, expressive, creative, radiant communication. It processes truth through the heart. It speaks with confidence and warmth, and it prefers storytelling and dramatic flair. Mercury in Virgo, precise, analytical, refined thinking, processes through logic, detail, and improvement, communicates clearly and systematically, prefers accuracy and organization. Notice how I never said perfect or perfection or criticism or highly critical when I mentioned Virgo, because that's the distortion that's been seeded into Virgo in mainstream astrology. Mercury in Libra, harmonizing, diplomatic mind, processes through relational awareness and balance, communicates with grace, fairness, and beauty, prefers thoughtful dialogue. You probably wouldn't be then. If you're a Virgo in mainstream astrology, you're probably a Leo, because we often shift one sign, sometimes more. It depends on where you are within your placement and the size of the signs when it shifts. But it looks at the living sky the night that you were, like as the time that you were born. Mercury in Scorpio, penetrating, investigative, intuitive mind, processes truth beneath the surface, communicates with intensity and honesty, prefers depth, mystery, and psychological insight. Mercury in Ophiuchus, alchemical, multidimensional, serpent fire mind, processes truth through transformation and inner revelation, communicates with healing potency, prefers authenticity and soul level dialogue. I do. I do. Mercury in Sagittarius, anyway. Mercury in Sagittarius, expansive, philosophical, visionary mind, processes through meaning, belief, and exploration, communicates with enthusiasm and big picture thinking, prefers truth over detail. Mercury in Capricorn, structured, disciplined, focused mind, processes through strategy, practicality, and long-term vision, communicates with authority and clarity, prefers efficiency. Mercury in Aquarius, innovative, unconventional, future-oriented mind, processes through insight, abstraction, and originality, communicates with brilliance and uniqueness, prefers new ideas and collective evolution. Mercury in Pisces, intuitive, imaginative, empathic mind, processes through symbolism, feeling, and spiritual connection, communicates poetically and fluidly, prefers spacious, non-linear thought. It's probably one of your guides is speaking to you. A lot of things get spoken to us through music, right? Sound is powerful. So it could be a guide is trying to give you a message, and it's up to you to determine what it means. Hi, Metal and Asher. So Mercury shows how you interpret and express the truth. How are you doing, love? It governs your learning style and your communication patterns. Mercury plus your moon reveals how someone processes emotions intellectually. Mercury plus the sun shows how your identity is communicated. Mercury plus your rising reveals the communication style others perceive from you. So, Mercury is the messenger self. How are you doing, love? Communication and truth-telling. It represents multitude of things, thought patterns and interpretation, learning pathways and mental clarity, nervous system signaling, curiosity and adaptability, and also speech writing and storytelling. Mercury's keywords are expression, clarity, perception, curiosity, translation, and messenger. So there. Now you know about your Mercury from the Krystic astrology true sidereal lens, as opposed to how it is viewed in mainstream astrology. Nope. Not necessarily. The moon changes signs every 2 to 3 days. The rising sign changes signs every 1 to 3 hours. Like it's like slightly under 2 to over 2 hours per rising sign. The sun changes signs every month or so. Depending, there are some shorter signs. Let's see if I have my notes on that close at hand. Might be this one. So the personal planets, and these are the ones, Mercury's in Scorpio. The moon is in Libra, so harmony and balance is wanting to be put on point, and you want to be true in your communication, and like the hard truth, Scorpio truth. So the personal planets, these are your daily flow and embodiment, and these are including these planets move more quickly, and they speak directly to your inner rhythm, emotions, and moment-to-moment experience. So the moon moves every 2 to 3 days, and this is your emotional tides, your intuition, your embodiment, and your daily energy. Mercury moves every 14 to 30 days, which varies because of retrograde. Thoughts, communication, perception, learning. Venus, again, moves every approximate 23 days. It's relationships, values, desire, harmony, beauty. And then Mars is approximately every 45 days, and that's drive, motivation, action, and courage. Then we have, so that's why we have we have a couple of the Krystic pairings that we can look at, right? Your personal flow, the daily triad, the psychological triad, which is what that moon, Mercury, and Venus is, right? There's things like that. We have our mid-range planets, which are mission, growth, and mastery cycles. So that's Mars, which is approximately every 45 days, Jupiter, which is approximately 1 year, and Saturn, which is every 2.5 years. And the pattern of looking at your Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn and where they are in the signs plus versus your signs, you use these for interpreting your mission cycles and your mastery timelines and your manifestation patterns. And then finally, we have the outer planets, and these are the Oversoul timelines and planetary restoration codes. So that is Uranus, which is approximately every 7 years, Neptune, which is approximately every 14 years, and Pluto, which is 12 to 32 years. It varies widely. Uranus is talking about awakening, liberation, innovation, and quantum change. Neptune is about vision, intuition, spirituality, mystic remembrance, dreams. Pluto is about power, death, rebirth cycles, and collective evolution. Saturn is about structure, responsibility, karmic lessons, and mastery. Jupiter is about expansion, blessing, growth, and opportunity. And again, Mars is about personal will and leadership refinement. Oh, yes, it does. If you start to track it, you'll start to understand, and you'll start to get into alignment with how the energy shows up for you, because you're going to feel the energy differently than I am, because it's going to be activating me differently depending on the signs. Right now, my sun is Ophiuchus. So until tomorrow at 23:56, I'm in my sun sign. So it's in the same sign. So I feel very good, right? This is very cohesive energy, right? And as the signs move out, then, they get into varying degrees of energy. And some of those energies would be a bit more opposing to my natural, which is going to cause growth, right? We want that growth, which is beautiful. So yeah, this is all about the class that I'm teaching in March, which is Krystic Astrology. And we'll go into a whole bunch of depth on all of that stuff. In the meantime, you can head over to my site and check out all the other stuff that I have. Join a group, grab a mini class, take a course, have a soul alignment session, whatever it is. And if you have any questions, definitely connect for a call, a clarity call, or send me an email, or even message me on any one of my social channels. I do not reach out to you. I don't spam people or anything like that. If you join my email list, also know I do not spam emails in my through my company either. And the other thing that you can always do is just please remember the nonprofit that I also have, which is Hugs for Homeless. We're of course looking for donations. Now is a very critical time. January and February is just going to get colder. We've already hit -36 this year, maybe even colder than that. I mean, at least in my neighborhood, it was -36. I can imagine that up north, it was much colder than that. So we're looking for donations. And if you're a corporation, you can always look at Kits for Cause and look at doing a corporate team building activity where you can give back to the community and literally save a life through your team building experience. So if you're looking at that, look at Kits for a Cause and look up Hugs for Homeless in the Edmonton area, because that's where we serve. Although we do have plans to grow at some point, but right now, Edmonton and surrounding area, and we'll see where we go from there. Yeah. Other than that, check out the books that I have. And I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow is the 17th. Like I said, tomorrow is the last day of Ophiuchus season. So we have that transition tomorrow, right just before midnight, my time, which means it may be after midnight for other people, like in the East Coast, right? It would be 2 a.m. for almost 2 a.m. for you guys. But we'll be in Ophiuchus, or sorry, we'll be in Sagittarius season at that. So tomorrow's lineup is going to be fairly similar. I have to check and see if the moon transits. It might transit tomorrow or today at some point. So I'll check into that, but check those things out or come and catch me back here tomorrow, approximately 1 p.m. Sorry, 1 a.m. I'm not coming live on 1 a.m. Not. Strike that from the record immediately. I'm not going live at 1 a.m. What? The earliest you'll catch me live would be like, I don't know. I get up at 5. I have been up at 2 a.m. There'd have to be something pretty freaking awesome for me to be like, yeah, I'm going to throw a live together at 1 a.m. today. No, thank you. My dog's sitting on his bed with his paws like this, and he looks so pretty just sitting there looking out the window. Watching the birds, watching the sun go down and going, are we going for a walk yet? His ear went, what? Did you say that word? But yeah, that's what I'm going to do. We are getting a huge snowstorm, anywhere from 15 to 30 centimeters in the next 48 hours. So I'm going to go take advantage of, it's cold too, though, although not as cold as it has been, but I'm going to take him for his walkabout before the sun gets too much lower, because I do like to have him home before it's dark. Because we have lots of animals on our property. We have deer and moose and fox and coyote and wolf and all kinds of birds and rabbits and, you know, all kinds of smaller animals. In the area, there have also been lynx and bobcat sightings, although I have not seen that. We do have a couple stray cats on our property that I've seen, but it'd be hard to tell. We'd have to really take a peek at the footprints to know the difference, like, you know, because a fox footprint versus a bobcat, or like I'd have to look at what the difference is in those particular like I'm just gonna look. All righty. Images. Okay, those are little dudes. I don't want the little dudes. I want the big dudes. All right, this will give me an idea of some of them. Okay, we definitely have a little white-footed mouse. Definitely seen the squirrels. Maybe even the chipmunk. I have not seen black bear prints or beaver or porcupine, but it's winter time here. So, you know, like I haven't seen them anyway. Yeah, it'd be hard. It would be. This site is wrong. They put white-tailed deer down and they put the antelope. Those are not. Oh, that might be why. This is a New England thing. I should probably look at an Alberta one. An Alberta one. Yeah, they just like, that's the thing. They just look like little kitten paws, right? So all you'd have to do is know like how big are lynx or bobcats or you know, those types of animals, like what are their foot size, like what are the sizes of their feet and stuff like that. I know when you get into like a cougar, you'll start to see like the claw marks, right? And I mean, possibly anyway, maybe they keep them very retracted and you don't see them, but interesting. Now I'm on a hunt to find the information to find the size and stuff like that. But I know I have a moose on my property. I found him. I found him. I have his fur. Yep. And that is a moose, not a deer. The deer are not that color. They're a tan, a lighter brown. There's not enough spot of that type of coloring on it. So yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to get him out and get him walked so I can get him back before it gets dark. And I will see you guys tomorrow, and we'll talk about more things in the way of truth, the truth about who you are, what you are, how you're meant to live, all that good stuff. Hello, multidimensional muse. I love you. How are you, baby girl? Alrighty, I'm out of here. Finish my tea. I'm off. I'm off to take my dog for a walk and to go do all of that stuff. You guys have a wonderful night.